Man, you see how ready I was to start season 2 of the 365 podcast. I set up this table, I had this new studio ready, and then right as I was about to start, my podcast microphone broke. So now I'm stuck with these crappy little things still. So season 2 will wait. Season 2 is basically just going to be a revamp. Like I'm going to be improving the studio constantly. I'm going to be getting more guests on. It might take a couple of days. I'm going to have a new thumbnail template. Basically, it's going to be a whole revamp of the show for season 2. I've already gone through over a third of the year, right? 365 days, because this is a 365 podcast. I've already gone through over a third of the year. So I'm going to be starting season 2 where I'm going to make some big changes to the show. Unfortunately, I can't make all those changes just yet because my microphone broke and my laptop is not working also. So there's a lot of problems there. Don't worry, in a couple of days, maybe in a week from now, things will be smoother. But after all the craziness and chaos, which obviously you guys don't see in the background that's happening, but basically that's kind of the gist of it. So what's happening, right? This is my first full day back in the studio, back in Canada. Where was I, right? I was in Spain. I went to Spain for 2 weeks to do a professional football trial. It's not the first time I've done it. Obviously, if you know my story, I was in Portugal for 2 years. I had done this trial in Spain in the past as well. So this is not a new experience for me. It was new in the sense of A, I'm recording content while on the trial, and B, I'm going from Canada to Spain to do the trial, so the flight was a bit longer, and that's what happened yesterday. If you didn't see yesterday's little reflection, I'm literally upstairs in my room. It's midnight, and I just need to record something to get it out because I literally was traveling the entire day. I left my room in Spain at 9:27 in the morning, Spanish time, which is 6 hours ahead of Eastern Standard Time. And I got home and it was about like 11 o'clock p.m. when I got home because, again, as I said in that one, but like just a combination of delays and weather problems and a long layover that led to that happening. Right. So that's what happened yesterday. But now I'm here. I'm actually here. I got a good night's sleep and I'm ready to kind of, go at it and fire off what happened basically. So like what happened, right? What were those last 2 weeks? You know what I mean? It was a fun time, man. Honestly, I was there. Like, I have a playlist of the videos of the daily reflection. So if you want to watch that to get more details and more inside scoop type of thing, I encourage you to do so. There's a playlist on the channel. And while you're there, of course, be sure to subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube and just show your support, right? I think I made some good content while I was over there, and obviously when I start season 2, which isn't right now, isn't just, I'm not ready just yet, of course, because of the stuff that's happened. But once I start season 2, the content's going to improve so much. So subscribe to not miss the developments and the updates and things that are going to be better going forward for the future of this show. And go watch that playlist to see the more like kind of real live reactions to each and every day on that pro football trial. But honestly, man, I had fun. I had some very good fun moments with people. I met some good people on the team. I really didn't like the level. Like, I really didn't like a lot of what happened on that trial. I'm going to be completely honest. Like, I've been in professional environments before. I've played in Portugal for 2 years. And I love the vibe of the vast majority of the things I participated in. This trial was a little bit different in the fact that it just wasn't really it. It didn't really feel like it was good. I met some amazing people. Don't get me wrong. I had some very fun moments, very great memories. But the like I don't know. I didn't like the level of the training. I think me personally, like how my performance was, I think I did all right. I had some good, some bad. I didn't play my best stuff, but I also didn't play my worst stuff. I had a good middle ground. And apparently they might decide to call me back in the next few weeks, couple months, which I don't know the validity of that. So I'm just going to, be here and record episodes of this podcast just with the assumption that I'm going to be staying in Canada for a little bit and I'm not going to be going back to Spain. But yeah, of course I chose Spain. I didn't really reveal it actually, but I chose Spain because that's, like Europe is the football hub, right? If you want to make it pro, best thing is to go in Europe. I don't think the way I did it, I don't think that's what I would recommend, but you should definitely get some European football experience in some regard if you want to make it pro. That's just my personal take on it. But what I did, well, I learned a couple lessons, right? I learned a couple of lessons on that trial and through my experience of what I've gone through over those 2 weeks. Those 2 weeks passed by very quick. Like it was a good time. There were a lot of tough moments as well in between, but those 2 weeks they passed by really fast. So in whatever 20 minutes, half an hour that I'm going to be recording this episode, I'm going to go over the main lessons that I learned in more detail and talking more about like the specific stories of what happened. So the first lesson I actually did talk about already a little bit, but it's this idea of working hard. What does it mean to actually work hard? What does it mean to actually like try your best? And I think what I learned on my pro trial is that I spent a lot of time on garbage. I spent a lot of time when I wasn't training, when I wasn't doing anything else. I spent a lot of time like scrolling Instagram and watching crappy YouTube videos. And I feel like that was a really big wake up moment when I realized, yeah, wait, I have a 7 hour screen time. That was the moment. I was out at dinner, and I was having dinner with some of my friends from the team, and it just came up like where we're like, oh, what's your screen time for the day? And everyone's like, oh, mine's so bad. And they were at like 4 hours, 5 hours, and then I looked at mine, 7.5 hours, 3 hours on Instagram, and an hour on YouTube, and then I'm just scratching my head a bit. I'm like that's what really woke me up to the fact that, oh, like I need to do more. Like this is not like I have to stop this right now. I have to put my foot down and stop this from continuing like this, because that's not going to help me do well in my life, right? Like now that I'm back in Canada, now we're talking about my future, what's going to be happening and how I'm going to make certain success happen. It's not going to happen by scrolling and by wasting all this time. I didn't even realize, I wouldn't have never thought that I had that much time, but that moment that that really just exposed me to them and also to myself, I'm like, wow, that's bad. I didn't even realize. And that kind of is like, okay, yeah, like I need to work harder. Sometimes I feel like I'm an insecure overachiever. Sometimes I feel like I overwork, but I think I'm not. Like I really, after further analysis, and again, I touched upon this in the last in 2 videos ago. Like I wasn't actually doing enough outside. Like why couldn't I have been, making some more content? Why couldn't I have been analyzing the football games or something like that, or doing more stretching recovery type of thing instead of just scrolling all day? And some days I did better than others. Obviously that one day was like the worst of it, of course. Some days were better than others, but truly like that's just not good enough, right? And especially like for example with this show, why can't I put more effort into it instead of just recording a half-hour episode every day and saying that that's that? Why can't I put more effort into it? Why can't I get more guests on? And that's why, I was going to announce that I'm starting season 2, but that's going to be being put on hold just because of the microphone situation and everything else that's going on around me right now in my life. So because of that, I'm going to be putting it off, but eventually I'm going to get there. Eventually I'm going to get to the point where I do start season 2, and I'm going to be working harder. I'm actually going to be putting like a few hours more than I was previously into the show, into the creative process, to making the episodes as good as possible. Of course, this one and the next few probably won't be that great because of course, the issues that are surrounding them, with the microphone being the primary one. But beyond that, I got to do better. And not just that, I got to train well. I got to probably find a job. I have to truly prove, not just to myself, more so to myself, but basically to like the universe, like to God himself, that I that I'm doing that I'm doing enough work, instead of just working for a couple hours and then falling away and scrolling and watching YouTube and then wasting your time. I feel like too often I fall into that. There's this balance of enjoyment and work, right? That you have to strike if you want to achieve fulfillment in your life. On the plane ride here, I was watching Alex Hormozy and Tony Robinson's interview that they did like a week ago. I was watching that on the plane, and that really taught me a lot. Like it taught me a lot about the balance of of pain and suffering, the necessary suffering you have to do to achieve good things, and the work you have to put in, versus actually enjoying yourself. Alex Hormozy is probably in the place where he's working so much that he doesn't prioritize the enjoyment. Like, he doesn't prioritize the enjoyment portion of it. But then you have me, who's actually going too much to the enjoyment side and not working hard enough. So you have to find some sort of a middle ground between, like, the 16-hour a day workaholic mentality that's like Alex Hormozy type of lessons and stuff, versus me, which I'm not doing enough. Like, I have to make those changes, and you're going to be seeing it in real time. Me making those changes, and hopefully they show in the quality of the episodes, that the quality only improves as a result of it. So that was the first and probably most important lesson of my trial, that when I was distracted and when I was wasting time and I was on garbage, it just kind of affected me in many other ways. It affected me in the sense of how I was able to play on the field, and it also just kind of woke me up to the fact that for me to be successful, I have to put way more work in than I already am. So that's the first lesson. The second lesson I learned, literally, it was like, you again, it's in the playlist, but I'll quickly recap it. That essentially, there was a training session I had. I played horrible. I made a few mistakes. I was getting angry at myself and angry at other people, and I was like swearing a lot. I was nervous on the ball, and I kind of went back, and I went back to my room, and I was like distraught. So I spent some time kind of like saying, "Huh, what am I meant to do better?" And what I did was like, all right, I haven't been waking up early. So let's add a little bit of discipline and wake up early and go through the motions. Don't scroll. Instead, do my reading in the morning and mentally prep myself, listen to empowering music. And then the next training session, I played very well. I had the best session I've had in probably on the entire trial. So the second lesson is basically, like, when all else fails, like, the easiest thing is to just add a little bit of discipline by waking up early in the morning and starting your morning routine right. Like, if you start the day right, if you win the first hour of the day, you can translate the momentum into the rest of the day. And I've already known that to be true throughout my life. And it's just really been fortified by the fact that, like, when all goes wrong, start waking up early and start with that little bit of discipline, and you can kind of springboard off of that to have a good day, and in my case, have a good training session. That's the most important thing that I learned, that it's like, it doesn't take that much. It doesn't take that much to kind of get into that flow. You win the first hour of the day, it'll be even easier to win the rest of the day. But if you lose the first hour of the day because you slept in till 10 in the morning, or I don't know, you were on your phone and scrolling, and all the same issues, that's why it's kind of hand in hand with the previous lesson. But instead, you're focused, you're doing things that are actually, like, beneficial. In my case, reading and listening to empowering music and warming up and doing some mobility work to prepare for the practice. But for you, it might be something completely different, regardless of what thing you're trying to pursue. But you start the day with scrolling, and you start the day on your phone. Like, I am actually not that bad in comparison to people I know. I know people who, they just wake up, they roll over, and they start scrolling for 20 minutes. And then they finally decide to get up. Like, that's how you're starting your day. So of course your mindset's going to be completely messed up for the rest of the day. So instead, win that first hour, add that little bit of discipline, do a morning workout if you need to. But it will really, really impact the output and the quality of the rest of your day if you win the first hour. And that was, really, really highlighted on my trial as well. When I saw the change, I just had a horrible session. I was like, all right, I slept in that day. I was scrolling. I was a little bit distracted. So let's focus up. Let's wake up early. And I had one of the best training sessions of the trial, because I just added that little bit of discipline. And it was super important. And I was like, yeah, wow. Like, I mean, it's crazy. Like, it really is eye-opening how simple sometimes things are. Like, you don't have to, like, overcomplicate, psychoanalyze, and do this aikido, mental aikido, to kind of find your way to some sort of a life-changing alteration. No. Like, it's as simple as just waking up, like, a couple hours earlier in the morning. And that makes the hugest difference when it comes to your output. So I think, for what it's worth, I think that's just such a good lesson. And for me, it's really a reiteration because I've known this to be true for the longest time. I'm sure I've talked about it even on this show a lot about the importance of sleep and the importance that actually sleeping well and waking up early and the power of early mornings, what it really brings to you. But this is just really a reiteration of that fact, like the whole oh, you have a bad thing, so you make a couple of small changes and then that bad thing becomes a good thing. It really is that simple. You don't have to psychoanalyze it. Like, you don't have to overcomplicate it, you don't have to overthink it. And that's really the essence of the second lesson. That, yeah, when all else is going wrong, start by adding that discipline in the morning. I think that is a very, very good idea, good lesson to get yourself in the right headspace for the rest of the day. And the third lesson is about your mindset. It's basically the fact that in any given situation, you can either look at something in a negative light or a positive light based on how you look at it, how you frame it in your mind. So it's basically like positivity. You know, for me, like, I'll give a couple of small examples as to things that happened on the trial that kind of made this really, really important to me. I had many other people complaining about the residency, the place I was in. So they would say, "Oh, the food sucks here," because they serve food. The food sucks. But then I'd be like, "Well, instead of saying the food sucks, you're looking at you're looking at like the worst of the worst. Say, all right, it's not the greatest, but these people, they work hard to put the food there. So let's eat it. It's all good. It'll be better tomorrow." Instead of wasting your energy and being angry and complaining and just kind of having a miserable time, you can look at that and reframe that in a positive light and be like, yeah, it's okay. Like, be appreciative of the people that are working so hard to put food on the table, that instead of complaining when it's not so good, like not so tasty, but really the food was actually very good food for athletes. Like, it'd be like, beans and rice and potatoes and stuff. And it's like, yeah, it doesn't taste good, but it's like, it's not supposed to. Chicken, meats, fish, all that stuff. Like, it's like you're an athlete, right? It's a residency where it's only other football players trying out for teams, right? Different teams. There's this whole thing where there's this like big residency where that's the case. So the meals are for athletes. They're for people to you're getting good nutrients. Like, even if it tastes bad, that's how it is, right? Vegetables and salads and soups and again, beans and rice. Like, it tastes bad, but like why are you complaining, right? So many people complain about the food being trash, and it's like, well, it's good food for athletics, and also they work hard to put on the table. So be thankful and be positive and look at it from that light, the better light than the negative, than the negativity of just like, oh, this sucks. Like, let me complain and let me kind of wallow away, right? And I don't know, you could say I had practices get canceled because of the weather being trash, right? Like, or quote unquote trash. Practice would get canceled. Instead of me just sitting there and being like, "Oh man, this sucks because practice is canceled." There's a small field in the back of the residency, so that what did I do? I played for like 3 hours in that field in two separate sessions throughout the day. So instead of being mad about it, obviously it's not the greatest, and obviously it sucks regardless. Instead of looking at it and just wallowing away in the fact that this is a bad thing that happened, turn a bad thing into a good thing by still putting the work in, still getting your reps in, still getting your touches on the ball in, getting some shots, and having some good fun with your friends and with the people that I met in the residency to to train and to burn those calories and to put the work in. Like, instead of just sitting there and wallowing away, positive. Let's still keep going and let's still grind. Let's still do it. Let's still do what we need to do. So really, it's all about mindset. In every single situation in your life, you can look at it from a negative perspective, oh, poor me, or you can look at it from a positive perspective, a grateful perspective, a just appreciative and just like empowering perspective, rather than the negative, mundane, miserable. Whereas it's like, the more you look at things from a positive light, the happier you'll be, the more appreciative you'll be of things and of people who work to put food on the table, for example, to put a roof over your head. Whereas if you're always looking at the negative, you're always looking at the bad, you're going to perpetuate towards that pessimism and that pessimistic mindset. That's not going to lead you anywhere. It's not going to lead you to anything successful in your life, being that pessimistic all the time and always complaining about things. Instead, you should look towards the positives. And this is a life lesson for me as well, because I'm not perfect at it. On this trial, I kind of realized that. Like, I'd be over here thinking, like, yeah, people complain about these things, but it's like, what's the point of complaining about them? Just appreciate them and move on and keep going and keep focused on yourself, right? That's how I looked at a lot of those situations. And I'm going to try and think of another one. Like, there was a weird rule that you had to, like, I don't know how to explain it. You had to deposit money. So you had to give like 20 euros to rent the remote control for the air conditioning or the heater, because obviously it was pretty cold in Spain. So you needed 20 euros for the heater, 20 euros for the room key, and 5 euros for the pass to the transport pass to be able to be taken to and from training. So I didn't get a key. I just got the remote and the pass. So I gave them 25 euros. Like, this is a weird thing. Obviously, you're probably confused. It was a weird way to do it. It's like a deposit, and I guess it's like a security thing. That's like, okay, you have money on the line now, so you're not going to lose it. You're not going to be irresponsible. I guess that's the idea. It is very weird, and there are a bunch of other rules that were weird like that. But again, negative versus positive. You can say, oh, this is a weird rule. Why are we doing this? This sucks. Blah, 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 blah. Or you can say, all right, well, now I have a remote. And now I can turn the heater on because the room was pretty cold. So now the room is warm now. And now it's good, nice and good. Right? Now I can be taken to and from training sessions because I have the pass. And I have the whatever it is, like the ID that you're here on trial. That's good. And when it was all said and done, I got my money back. They of course, they were honest. They gave me the 25 euros back. So then I had the money and I was able to spend the money on, I actually bought a very good book that I'm going to start reading. So, you know, like I know these things sound like they're a little bit insignificant, but when you're paying money to go to another country because you're trying to make it pro in football, and you're seeing all of these problems, it's very easy to say, oh, this is a waste of money, this was a waste of time, there's all of these issues. And I'm not innocent. I fell into those types of ideas and mindsets as well at times. But I had to center myself and be real and honest with myself and say, you know what? Like, you can look at everything from a negative perspective, or you can frame it in a positive way. And framing it in a positive way is just better for your own mental state. And it makes you more appreciative of things. It makes you more grateful. And that's really what will help you do better in your life and earn the respect of people in your life, right? No one really likes an arrogant guy. No one likes the guy that's always complaining about things. And again, as always, I'm not perfect, but I share these lessons with you because these are things that were happening on a day-to-day basis, and they're things that were really like important to me, that I really kind of recognized in real time. That's like, oh, I'm actually falling into these behaviors too. I'm falling into these negative ideas and mindsets as well, instead of looking at it from a positive light. So I had to kind of, take a step back and reframe it in the exact way that I've just given you the examples as to how you can reframe it. Like, look at the good things. For example, like the beds, amazing beds, like super comfy. Like, I felt I had some very, very good nights of sleep. I'll tell you that much. Very high quality sleep because the beds were comfy, the covers were warm, and the room was warm because I now had the remote. Even if I had to pay the rent fee or whatever it was, the deposit, I had the remote, so I was able to do it. So instead of just, instead of looking at all the bad, I could give you a list of all of the terrible things that happen, all of the things that kind of piss me off. And there is a list. There is definitely a list of things that piss me off that, the part of the reason why I am literally back here and I'm not still in Spain going and actually playing games. A lot of those reasons are not in my control and they piss me off. But instead of looking at all of those, let's look at all of the good. Let's look at the memories made. Let's look at the effort I put in. Let's look at the people I met. Let's look at the time I spent. Let's look at even just the little things, right? Good nights of sleep, great food, like experiences, that type of thing. And then look back on it and it's like, yeah, as much as it didn't work out, it probably won't. It it was a great experience nonetheless. Not as good as some of my other trials because those were amazing, but this was still a trial that had a lot of great memories, a lot of fun times, good laughs, good moments. I wish it went longer, but 2 weeks is very, very quick, as you know. So instead of looking at all the bad, you look towards the good. So that is the third lesson, essentially, in a nutshell, that in any situation, you can frame it as good or bad, and that will affect your mental state going forward with like regards to whatever thing you're dealing with, right? If you think the food is bad, you're going to hate the food. If you say, okay, this isn't the greatest, but people work hard, you're going to be more appreciative of it, and you're going to, you're going to appreciate it better instead of complaining and being resentful and bitter towards things. So, yeah, like those were three huge lessons I learned. And I'm sure there's a theme. Like if you're good at recognizing patterns, there's a theme here. None of them actually had to do with my on-field performance. None of them had to do with my on-field performance. It was all like extra mental things, right? The situation with, what it means to work hard, then the second one being the waking up early, and the third one being the positive mindset. None of it has to do with, I mean, the waking up early, maybe you can say because it affected my on-field play, made me play better, but it didn't like it wasn't really exactly like, oh, what did I do on the field? What was an adjustment I made on the field that helped me have a better trial? And really the reason why these lessons are more mental rather than actual on the field stuff is because on the field was very disappointing. Not because of me, honestly. I was like, the team was, it was very disorganized. Like, let's say the practices, the training sessions, like a couple were canceled, as I said before, because of the weather. Obviously I wasn't going at the best time. It rained the whole time that I was there. The full 2 weeks I was in Spain, it was raining. And also when we did train, it really wasn't like that high intensity. Like, again, there were training sessions that I didn't break a sweat, and that is not a lie. I'm not saying that in a negative light. I'm just stating the facts that the reason why there were no real lessons on the field is because I wasn't actually pushed or tested that far on the field. And you can comment on that and say to that what you will, but that was just my experience, and that was what I felt was happening on a day-to-day basis. Doesn't mean it was bad, doesn't mean that I hated it, doesn't mean that I resent it and loathe having done it, but and I think going to Spain and making that happen was still the best decision I could have done to start the year off in a good light. But I'm just saying that it wasn't exactly perfect. And that's the exact reason. I'm not gonna get so deep into it. I'm gonna kind of cut it off there. I'm not gonna criticize and talk about how it went any further, because actually in theory I still have a chance of of making it. I have to call my agent and I have to talk to him about what happened. Like, he's gonna talk to the people and the coaches and the people within the club to kind of get his gauge on how I played, and I'll get the feedback from it. And then I have to wait for my playing visa, which obviously will take some time. So it's technically not over. It's technically not over, but I'm acting as if it is, because I don't see it working out just because of the circumstance of everything. But that's not to say it was bad. It's just it wasn't really the same as the other ones. I'll say that much. So that's what I learned, man. And I'm not gonna sit here and continue to complain. I'm just gonna get up and keep working hard. So that's it. Those are the three lessons. take I think they are lessons that you can take to any situation in your life, because really it's like it's a football trial, but obviously if you're not into football, soccer, whatever you want to call it, if you're not into it, that's fine. These lessons, all three of these lessons, are also super applicable to everything else in your life, and probably more so than like I have the dream, like I have the goal and the pursuit and the reason to do all these things, to find all these lessons, to look at all these things. A lot of people don't necessarily have that. So what's the you would think, oh, what's the point of waking up early in the morning? right? Like, oh, you just go to school. So what's the point of waking up an hour early? You just wake up and you go to school and you have to deal with the day in school, which sucks, right? And it's boring and all that stuff, right? But it's really about cultivating that type of person you want to be in the future. And this was also a very big thing that it's like you're not working to achieve a materialistic success, right? I can go on and on about the biblical teaching and how God talks about materialistic success and how Jesus himself rebukes the rich all the time and many, many times in the New Testament because it's true that you find more fulfillment not in the pursuit of the goal of the work that goes through. It's about becoming the type of a person that can be successful, be the type of a person that can give back to people, that can be strong and bold in tough circumstances and earn the respect of people. It's not achieving the thing, it's the becoming the type of person that allows you to achieve that thing, and then the thing that you achieve becomes secondary because you're confident in yourself of being the type of person you want to be. So I'm working on that myself each and every day. And, I wish you guys best of luck on your journeys, whoever you want to be in the future as well. I think these 3 lessons will definitely help you work towards that. So it's basically like that's another thing I'm going to be teetering on and perhaps talking about in future episodes. This idea of like the pursuit, and I made a small thing talking about like dream chasing and how the pursuit of a dream, there's nothing more fulfilling than that. But I'm actually probably going to adjust that. I'm actually going to change my entire perception of what I think is like really the fulfilling part of a dream. The fulfilling part of a dream isn't necessarily the achieving of it, the pursuing of it. It's because you're changing yourself. You're becoming a better person. You're improving and becoming the type of person you want to become, becoming the type of person God wants you to be. And that is where the fulfillment lies, in that pursuit, not necessarily just the pursuit itself. The reason why you feel fulfilled when you have a bigger purpose, when you have a bigger dream, is because it's shaping you and changing you and turning you into the person that may actually achieve it. You might not, but that's down to God's will and God's plan. Like sometimes there's just things you cannot control. But becoming the type of person that can be successful means that if you didn't make it in one thing, then you can apply those lessons into another thing and achieve success in that other thing. And I think that is now my new perception on what it means to chase these dreams. And that's why I talk on the podcast about football, about what I'm going through. And I made these live videos talking about my trial day after day, because this is the dream that kind of fulfills me. But what I'm learning is that it is way, way more than just the dream. Obviously, it's godly inspired, it's godly influenced, but it's even more that it's kind of becoming a person and cultivating that mentality to being the type of person that can achieve great things. And these lessons kind of humble me to the fact that I still have a long way to go. So I think that's a good way to kind of wrap it up. I think that's a good way to kind of put it all together. So yeah, that's all I got, man, for today. Those were the biggest lessons I learned on my trial. That's really what happened in those last 2 weeks. I'm trying to think of like funny things that happened. There were a few funny stories, but perhaps I'll save those for a future episode. I think the value that comes with those 3 lessons is really, really amazing. And I'm going to be going day after day to try and actually live out those lessons and do better in those things to make that change. In every single thing in your life, there's necessary change you have to make. You have to deny your past self to unlock future potential. That is everything in life. If you want to achieve anything great, you have to change. The second you stop learning, growing, changing, improving is the second you accept that you're going to stay exactly where you are. So understand that change is absolutely necessary. It's in everything. To become a godly man, for example, you need to change. Like you have to deny yourself, and you have to recognize that your sin is sin, and you have to change to stop sinning and to pursue godly things and pursue being better in that way. Right? If you want to be just a better person, more formidable, you want to improve your relationships, let's say. I'm just using this as an example. I have no right to talk about relationships because I never had one. But you want to improve your relationships. You have to become the type of person that listens to their significant other. Maybe you don't listen. Maybe you don't hear them out. Maybe you're so focused on yourself. There's a necessary change you have to make. Otherwise, you'll just be miserable. So change is absolutely necessary in life every single day. The second you stop learning and growing is the second you accept mediocrity. It's the second you accept that you're just going to stay stagnant. So that is really the essence of this entire video, why I think about these lessons, why I do what I do, why I dream what I dream, and why I believe what I believe, is that change is the absolutely most important thing that will kind of determine where you go in life. So, as I wrap up this episode, I encourage you to change. Make those changes. Work a little bit harder, wake up a little bit earlier, and be a lot more positive. Those are the three big lessons and big changes that if you make them, you will find that you live a more content life. You'll find that you're more at peace each and every day. And I'm working on it myself. Obviously, you're going to be seeing day to day just how things go, just how things move. But that's really all I got to say. So after I've just kind of I've let it all out, you know what I mean? So I appreciate you if you're still here, you're still watching despite all that's been happening, the microphone problem and maybe a little bit of rambling in between in this episode, of course. I hope you learned something today. I hope you learned something from these lessons, and I hope that you go and you pursue that change to become a better person each and every day. So subscribe if you're watching on YouTube, because season 2 of the 365 podcast is coming soon. I have to sort some things out, but it is coming soon, I promise you. And I would really appreciate if you go and leave a follow on Spotify as well. Because I'm trying to grow the Spotify as well. The YouTube is decent growth, but the Spotify is stagnating a bit. So I'm trying to grow that as well. I would really appreciate your support if you would go and follow that as well. But yeah, show your support by liking the video, leaving a comment, what you thought of it. How are you going to change to make the rest of 2026 a great year and beyond that? How are you going to change every single day to become a better person every day? That's up to you. That's your choice. Every day when you wake up, that is your choice. And I leave it at your feet. And, from here, it's down to you what you have to decide you're going to do each and every day. Do you want that great goal? Do you want to achieve that thing? Do you want to be formidable? Do you want to work hard? Or do you want to just stay stagnant? That's your choice. And sometimes being stagnant's okay. Maybe a lot of people are okay with it. But me personally, I definitely am not. And I have this kind of higher calling that I have to go out and pursue bigger things, that I'm not going across the normal path. Obviously, there have been many things in my life that have been super far from the standard path. All I'm saying, continue to change, continue to grow every single day. And I really hope that this episode gave you good value. That's really the biggest thing. If you got value from today, that is really the most important thing. And I'm going to keep working to make it valuable, make every single episode valuable each and every day throughout the podcast. Eventually, when I start season 2 as well, it will get even more valuable. So thank you for watching. Thank you so much for being here and being a part of this journey each and every day. And I'll see you tomorrow for the next episode of the 365 podcast.